What if I told you that one hidden secret, just one, has the power to destroy everything you've built in life? A secret so dangerous it can break trust, shatter relationships, and bring down entire kingdoms. Stay with me because the story you're about to hear is not only about a king who lost everything because of one secret. It's also a mirror, a warning, and perhaps a second chance for you. Once upon a time, in a kingdom known for its prosperity, lived a king admired by his people. He was not the tallest, nor the strongest, nor even the most handsome ruler. But he had something that mattered more: wisdom, kindness, and fairness. Under his rule, the fields flourished, trade expanded, and no family went hungry. The people sang his praises, and even neighboring lands respected him. But there was something about this king that nobody knew. Beneath his golden crown, beneath the robes of silk and the smile he wore in public, the king carried a secret so heavy it haunted him every night. He was terrified that if the truth ever came out, his people would no longer see him as a wise and strong leader, but as a man unworthy of respect. So he hid it. Every morning the king would rise before dawn, sit alone in his chamber, and whisper to himself, "No one must ever know." And though he appeared calm in public, inside he was restless. Secrets, you see, are like shadows. They follow you everywhere. And no matter how bright the day, they cling to your heels. The king's secret was simple, yet devastating. Beneath his crown of hair, his ears were shaped not like a man's, but like a donkey's. He had been born this way, and his parents, ashamed, hid it from the world. When he became king, the truth remained hidden. His barbers were sworn to silence, and most never lived long enough to spread rumors. Only one barber was summoned each year to cut the king's hair. And after that, he was dismissed with gifts, but sent far away, never to speak of what he saw. Year after year, this ritual continued until one day the king summoned a young, humble barber named Kavi. Unlike the others, Kavi was not intimidated by gold or palaces. He was nervous, yes, but he had a pure heart. When he discovered the king's secret, he trembled with fear. The king looked into his eyes and said in a low voice, "If you tell anyone, your life will end. Carry this burden in silence, and you will be rewarded." Kavi nodded, but as weeks passed, the weight of what he knew became unbearable. He wanted to scream, to confess, to release the secret that gnawed of his chest like fire. Yet he could not risk his life. So he carried the secret in silence until one day he could no longer bear it. He ran into the forest where no one could hear him. His heart pounded, his lips trembled, and finally he knelt beside a hollow tree. With tears streaming down his face, he whispered into the trunk, "The king has donkey's ears. The king has donkey's ears." He repeated it until the weight lifted, until his chest felt lighter. Then he walked away, relieved, never imagining what would follow. Seasons changed, winds blew, and when spring arrived, flutes made of reeds sprouted near that very tree. The villagers, enchanted by the sound, began to cut the reeds and make their own flutes. But when they played them, the sound that came out wasn't music, it was words. Clear as day, the flute sang, "The king has donkey's ears. The king has donkey's ears." At first, the villagers laughed, thinking it a joke. But when every flute, no matter who carved it, echoed the same words, the rumor spread like wildfire. From villages to markets, from streets to palaces, the truth was no longer hidden, and soon the king himself heard it. When he did, his face turned pale, his hands shook. His secret, his deepest fear, was no longer his alone. It belonged to everyone. He locked himself in his chamber, consumed by rage and shame. He blamed the barber, the people, even the gods. But what he didn't realize was that the true enemy was never the barber, nor the flutes, nor the villagers. The true enemy was fear itself, the fear of being seen as imperfect. When the king finally emerged, he stood before his people trembling with both anger and sorrow. The crowd fell silent, awaiting his words. And in that moment, he had two choices: deny the truth and punish his people, or embrace it and free himself. But pride is a cruel master. Instead of embracing honesty, he chose pride. He shouted, Who dares mock their king? Who dares repeat these lies? He ordered punishments, exiled those who played the flutes, and silenced anyone who dared to speak of it again. But it was too late. Once truth is out, no chains can bind it. The more he tried to silence his people, the more they resisted. Rebellion stirred, trust eroded. The people who once adored him began to whisper, "If he lies about this, what else does he lie about?" The kingdom cracked, not because of the king's ears, but because of his fear, his pride, his refusal to be vulnerable. And soon, war from neighboring lands swept in. With his people divided, his allies gone, his throne shaken, the kingdom crumbled. The mighty king who once ruled with wisdom lost everything, not because of his secret, but because he never had the courage to own it. Now pause and reflect. What destroyed the king? Was it his ears, or was it his fear of being judged? How many of us live like this king, hiding parts of ourselves, terrified that if the world saw our scars, our flaws, our mistakes, we would no longer be loved, respected, or accepted? But here's the truth. Hiding your imperfections doesn't protect you. It imprisons you. Pretending to be perfect doesn't make people love you. It makes them love an illusion, and illusions always fade. Think of it. How many people live in silence, hiding depression behind smiles? How many bury mistakes in shame rather than admitting them and growing stronger? How many chase approval while suffocating under the weight of secrets? Perhaps even you. The king's story is a warning, but it's also an invitation to break free, to realize that your scars, your flaws, your secrets, those are not your weakness. They are your humanity. And the moment you embrace them, you stop being a prisoner. You become free. So ask yourself, what are you hiding? What truth have you buried so deep that it robs you of peace? What secret keeps you awake at night fearing the judgment of others? Maybe it's time to whisper it to the world. Maybe not through flutes or forests, but through honesty, courage, and vulnerability. Because when you own your truth, nobody can use it against you. Remember this: a kingdom is not destroyed by imperfection. It is destroyed by fear, pride, and silence. And a life is not ruined by mistakes. It is ruined by the refusal to learn, to admit, and to rise. So, my friend, let go of the chains of fear. Embrace your truth. Speak it, live it, because only then will you find the freedom the king never did. And if this story touched you, if it opened your eyes and reminded you of the power of honesty and courage, then don't let it end here. Share this message. Let others learn the king's lesson before it's too late. And subscribe to Life Lessons Library for more stories like this. Stories that don't just entertain, but transform. Because your journey is not about hiding who you are. It's about owning it and rising.